Hey, I'm Jae and welcome to The Gist. A new LGBT plus sober space will be opening in London, offering those in the community who don't drink a space to socialise. Aisha Shaibu, one of the organisers of the space, explained, "I realised how a lot of people who don't drink, who don't surround their lives by alcohol, felt marginalised. And it was a shame that those people couldn't access the same events in the same spaces that we did." This space, which hasn't yet been named, will be in Shoreditch, East London, and will feature a bookshop, cafe, event space, and podcast recording studios, which, if the podcasters choose, can live stream to the rest of the venue. So customers could just be sitting there, listening to cool conversations that are going on from queer people within the community, Shaibu said. The space will prioritise women, people of colour, trans and non-binary people. Research done earlier this year found that 79% of women and non-binary people agreed that gay men have more visibility and are better catered to by London's LGBT plus venues. Aibu is director of the queer social enterprise Moonlight Experiences, which is crowdfunding to create an international queer culture network. Shaibu should be commended for creating an environment for those in the community that are teetotal or those who simply want queer events that aren't centred around drinking. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok and Twitter have been found to be categorically unsafe for LGBT plus people, according to a new study by GLAAD.
I am shocked. Shocked! Well, not that shocked.
For the report, GLAAD's team of experts investigated the policies of all the leading social media sites and their track record of enforcing them. They found that every single one of the platforms fails to protect LGBT plus users from harassment and threats, and what happens online doesn't stay there. GLAAD President and CEO Sarah K. Ellis said there are real-world consequences to what happens online. There are direct lines you could draw between the over 100 anti-trans bills that are now circulating at the state level and what's being produced and pushed out within the social media world. I think that there are direct lines to, unfortunately, suicides of our community. She highlighted the disconnect between the LGBT plus inclusive ethos espoused by all the top platforms, as they still allow for harmful misinformation and harassment to spread unchecked. What shocked me the most about all of this is, at the end of the day, these companies have the tools to stop it, she said. Ellis also spoke on the good social media can do, that there are absolutely bright spots with LGBT plus people finding support online. Facebook and Instagram responded to this report, saying in a statement to Axios that they believe deeply in the representation of and visibility for the LGBT plus community. Hopefully, this report will help them to change their policy so the online space can be safe for all. The Tory government plans to make voters show photo ID will further disenfranchise trans and non-binary people. Ministers have positioned the move as an effort to stamp out electoral fraud. However, statistics show that this isn't an issue, as in 2019, about 595 cases were reported out of 32 million people who voted. Mermaids, a charity for trans youth, warned the voting reforms would be devastating for trans and non-binary voters, especially coming at a time when non-binary people are still seeking legal recognition. Mermaids Director of Legal and Policy, Lou Asquith, said in a statement to Pink News, "If this becomes a requirement, it will disenfranchise trans and non-binary people who do not have access to representative ID. Most of us do not have a birth certificate that reflects our gender identity. Not everyone has a passport. Not everyone has a driver's license. Those of us who do may not have the money to update them during our transition. This means that this process will indirectly require many of us to out ourselves in order to vote. Former Tory Cabinet Minister David Davis told The Independent that ID checks at polling stations are nothing more than an illiberal solution in pursuit of a non-existent problem. He dubbed the proposal unnecessary and pointless. The proposal has gained backlash from all sides of the political spectrum, lawmakers and campaigners who suggested it could block 1/4 of the British electorate from voting. 2 months after fleeing unprecedented threats of violence, members of the queer rights organisation LGBT+ Rights Ghana are still in hiding. On the 24th of February 2021, Ghanaian security forces raided and shut down the organisation's newly opened offices as safe space for queer people. Alex Kofi Donkor and the other leaders of the organisation are currently in a safe house on the outskirts of Accra. The organisation are working to repeal Section 104 of the country's Criminal Offences Act, a British colonial era law that punishes unnatural carnal knowledge by up to 3 years in prison. Despite being in hiding, they are continuing ahead with their efforts to be the first openly LGBT+ organisation registered in the country. Speaking on the dangers they face, Donkor said, "Our security is a very real concern, and it is very relevant in all of these things, right? So as much as we are doing all of these things, we are also thinking about the best way that we can do this without compromising our security. This is something we continuously explore. It looks difficult at the moment, but we don't want to focus so much on the difficulties. Currently, it is very hard and very difficult, yes, but we believe that we still need to push. We still need to forge ahead and make sure that we continue to do the work we are doing. We still want to cause change." The courage of these folks is something to be admired, and we hope to hear that they are able to achieve their goal for the queer people in Ghana. I'm Jae, and that's the gist. Thank you for watching.